Did you see they made gas stove a culture war issue? It's a shame that the asbestos bans all happened before the modern era culture war bullshit. We could have had some of the funniest posts of all time. Don't tread on Florida and don't mess with gas stoves. So what's up with that? I'm not even familiar with this iteration of the culture war, but it's like, I guess they're fucking bored. Is that what's going on? Anyway, here, let's take a look at this one. Unhinged art story time.
In just a few seconds. If you don't know what's going on, pause and read. All right, so we're going to start off with this picture of Jesus that everyone's grandma has in the living room and paint Hasan's face on top of it. It's just not giving anything here. Very boring, weak shoulders. So we go back in, we paint him in the Gucci suit. We go out, get a frame to match, and drop it off at the friend's house.
God damn. So I guess this was an art gift for a friend. What is this? This is a recipe for disaster. Child lifetime asthma prevalence was 14.7%, and current asthma prevalence is 11.5 compared to the 38 participating states. Oh. U.S. Safety Agency considers ban on gas stoves amid health fears. They want to remove gas-powered stoves and leaving only electrically powered ones, to be honest, like in almost all of Europe by this point, and they're making it a culture war. I'm not going to lie. If you've ever used an electric stove over a gas stove, you know that, like, the electric stove kind of sucks ass. But, like, you know, is it worth the carbon monoxide poisoning? Well, to be fair, carbon monoxide poisoning is most likely responsible for, I would say, 45, I'm giving a conservative estimate, 45% of the entirety of the Republican base of support. So, like, it's understandable that they would not want to let go of carbon monoxide poisoning because, like, if it wasn't for that, it's not CO, it's NO2. Okay, well, my point is whatever the gas stove is fucking releasing on accident is the reason why people see, basically see, you know, ghosts and stuff. It's responsible for, hold on. Like whenever you hear about like, whenever you hear about like ghost stories or people hallucinating, okay, whenever you hear about people like seeing ghosts or whatever, half the time it's like, it's basically because, you know, there's a little bit of carbon monoxide poisoning happening, right? And that's, I would say that that's like mostly also half of the Republican Party's base of support. So I get it. I get why they just don't want that to go away. I understand it. Like, think about it. It's like when Republicans also want to make sure that, you know, no one goes to college. Why? Because when you go to fucking college, like the likelihood that you will vote Democrat increases dramatically. They hate education. They hate education because education is like an immediate fast track way of stopping the base of support for the Republican Party from growing, and it's the same for carbon monoxide poisoning. That's what it is. Anyway. All right, we'll get into the fucking culture war shit. We'll dive into that. What was there? There was some more stuff that I was going to look at real quick before we move on. Anyway, dude, are we washed? What's going on? Am I washed now? 700 likes on this, on the fucking blast off tweet. I know I started early today, but goddamn, boys, what is this? I mean, Republicans are trying to make this Biden document thing happen. I guess it's like kind of a mid blast off, I'll be honest. Or maybe I fell off. Your memes are just not good. Yeah, I agree. Twitter is super suppressing links. What is it? It's time to break up with our gas stoves. You can pry it out of my cold, dead hands. Did you see the map of who uses gas? It's the opposite of the red-blue divide. Wait, what the fuck? So it's not like they're even using it. Just wanted to point this out there. Gas stoves are a Northeast Carolina, Eastern Urban Midwest thing. This is also where major cities used gas for lighting in the early 20th century. The infra started at that point, almost opposite of the map of the red-blue political divide. Most of the red states don't have gas infrastructure, so they only have electric options. Pussies. Pussies. Most people are used to gas. I don't think so. I think it depends on where you're at, my friend. This literally shows that the share of U.S. households that have an electric stove is 68% versus gas, 38%. So you are literally looking at a fact and going, nah, that doesn't feel right, which I understand doesn't feel right for me either, because I have a gas stove. I have a gas stove in my house here. I hate it. It fucking sucks, even though it's a melee appliance, because like when you fucking buy a house that's like over a certain price point, they automatically come with that kind of appliances, but it doesn't work sometimes. It breaks. I don't like it. What's your water heater? Oh, it's I think every house in California is heated with water with electricity. Right? It's an electric heater, no? No, wrong. Wait, am I wrong? I'm pretty well, LADWP. No, LADWP literally is water and power. So I always assumed that my water heater was heated by out of touch? Wait, why am I out of touch? I legitimately don't know. Wrong as usual. What? Well, I'm saying I don't know, man. Why are you getting so aggro on me? I don't know. This is only a survey on 18,500 households, though. Oh, yeah, you're right. Everyone knows famously surveys have to be conducted like the census. 18,500 household survey that is representative of U.S. primary residences is an insanely large number. Okay? What are you talking about? Every time we bring up stats, chat openly reveals they just do not understand statistics. They're like, I do not know what a statistic is. I don't understand how stats work. I personally cannot comprehend it. Anyway. Cat Turd is using gas stoves to own the libs. Dear liberals, I turned on all of my gas stove eyes today and let them burn for no reason, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it but cry. Dude, he's so epic. He's so epic. Chad expects Hasanabi to know his water heater and how it works coming from the guy that has gardener's law. First of all, I have one guy who knows everything, okay? And his name is Hasan Piker. That is the reason why I don't know. The reason why I am able to be out of touch as a homeowner is because I have a man who does all this stuff for me as I bully him all the goddamn time. That is precisely the reason why I don't need to know anything, because he's got it. I'm always like, he's got it. He's got it. He knows. Call him up right now. He's on a plane. If he wasn't, I'd call him up. I'd be like, yo, what is it? Do I have an electric water heater or a gas one? And he would fucking explain it to me. Politics is so weird because Republicans always have to reflexively oppose any Democratic idea, ignoring the merit. Also, why don't you replace your gas stove? I don't know. I have literally never thought about it ever in my entire life. Like, dude, I think most people are like me. They just don't know and don't care and have never thought about it. And if you think about it and you're like, oh, dude, I'll never do this, you're a fucking loser. You're a fucking weirdo. Like, I have never in my entire life, especially as a renter, I never even thought about it. And now as like a first-time homeowner, again, still have never thought about it. Like, why the fuck would I know or care about it? That's part of the reason why the government should deal with that. They have people who are thinking on it, okay? That's the whole point. Like, Americans are so hyper individualistic and so fucking stupid that, like, they literally cannot comprehend a world where, like, the regulatory mechanisms are there for a fucking reason. If the government was like, no more gas stoves, I'd be like, okay, I guess we'll replace it. Hopefully they'll help others who are not wealthy enough to be able to replace it, right? And like give them some credits or some shit. But like for someone like myself, I could replace it myself. I wouldn't even think about it. And then going forward, most of those other, if I were to go back to renting, for example, it would just be an electric stove and it wouldn't change my life in any meaningful capacity. That's the whole point. The government is supposed to take that burden off your shoulders of like constantly fucking having to worry about all these things personally. Okay? It's just so stupid. Do you guys understand? That is the entire purpose of like systemic change. So you don't have to think about it all the time. Slavoj Žižek talks about this as a counter to like some anarchist formations, like anarcho-communist formations. Is like you don't want to have a democratic design at every facet of your fucking life. You don't want like coalitions to figure out whether or not like each individual area is supposed to have a gas stove or an electric stove. I don't want to make that decision. I want smart people that I trust to make that decision for me because I have a fuckload of other shit to worry about. And like all these dumb motherfuckers who are like, nah, brother, like you got to make it on your own. And this is on the left or the liberal side. It is the individual choices that are the morally righteous ones that you must make to save the environment. And on the right, it's like, no, I'm going to do the individually worst choice possible because fuck the environment. Like these two operate at the same fucking like mental plane. Okay. It's still capitalist hyper individualism. Okay. It's capitalist hyper-individualism that is the main reason for why people are like, no, we got to take matters into our own hands on both sides. Sure, one is like marginally better because it's like it's slanted towards progress. The other one is trying to be regressive, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It's so stupid. I don't want to deal with that, man. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay? I'm a dumb himbo. I don't want to deal with it. I'm not a scientist. Let the fucking scientists handle it and then tell me what to do and I'll do it. Okay? And if you are the type of dude who's like, nah, fuck that, brother. This is a really important part of my life. You're a fucking weirdo loser freak. Okay? Same goes for if you're the type of dude who's like, why won't you make the personal choice immediately to change it out right now? Now that you found out, you better be fucking shifting over. It's like, no, bitch. I'm probably not going to do it until I have to. I'm lazy. Okay? Oh. Biden's IRA has, when the Inflation Reduction Act could mean for your next appliance purchase, you might be eligible for a rebate when you buy an electric range, cooktop, or wall oven. Makes sense. I mean, this is like, I didn't even know that this existed in the IRA, but I told you that hopefully there's some level of like help that the government will provide in this sort of thing. Because of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Like, that's how the government works. Don't you have a deal with it as a homeowner if you didn't want to deal with this? Would have you stayed at a renter and expect your landlord to make the improvement, as naive as that may sound? Don't you have to deal with it as a homeowner? I mean, not yet. And I probably won't have to. But ultimately, landlords don't deal with it. That's the other. Like, have you never rented? Like, have you only lived with your parents your entire life? Have you met a landlord? There's never been an instance where a landlord has been like, oh yeah, hold on, I'll get right on it proactively. Okay. No, that's not happening. The entire purpose of a fucking landlord or a management company that a landlord works with is to just basically put you in a holding pattern every time there's some shit going wrong with your fucking house. And if they can't paint white over it, over your fucking stove, they're not fixing it. You forgot you have two guys. I'm still here, Hasan, says Hasan's gardener. I've been watering the AstroTurf for like ages. Good one. Anyway, your grandfather didn't, so you likely won't have to do it until you sell your house, but probably not even then. Yeah. They could also regulate natural gas utilities and require them to have way lower allowable levels of ozone and carbon monoxide. Seems like that makes more sense than shutting down all use of them. I mean, I personally just don't care. I don't care. I literally don't care. I want the government to care, and I want the government to do the right thing. That's what I want. And I think that expectation is so normal. That is what the expectation should be. All of you motherfuckers should expect your government to do that, okay? It's like at the top of the hour, your expectation is that a 3-minute ad break is coming. And if you no longer want to see those ads, you need to take the necessary precautions, okay? A $5 a month subscription, a Twitch Prime for free. If you haven't used it on someone else, you can use it here. Okay? Or it's like big government kind of, but maybe you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. But the 3-minute ad break comes regardless. You might not be able to swap out your stove, but you'll be able to swap the top of the hour 3-minute ad break with an uninterrupted broadcast experience by subscribing. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. People are giving me a low rank on this, but that's crazy because it was actually good. MP Sharky, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Anyway, we'll watch. So there's a gas versus electric stove argument that is motherfucking heating up. And I did not even know that this was happening. Ron DeSantis tweeted, "Don't tread on Florida and don't mess with gas stoves." Obviously, every part of the conversation is going to become a culture war issue. Turns out we found out that, Senator Joe Manchin, of course, chimed in, everyone's favorite conservative Democrat. This is a recipe for disaster. The federal government has no business telling American families how to cook their dinner. I can tell you the last thing that would ever leave my house is the gas stove that we cook on. If this is the greatest concern the Consumer Product Safety Commission has for American consumers, I think we need to reevaluate the commission. So it turns out there's a reason for this. It is creating asthma. Okay? It's creating childhood asthma. That is part of the reason why they want to make sure that they change it. But another thing that we found out, okay, is that it turns out even though the Republicans are holding on to this as a culture war issue, it's a 38%, 68% situation where 68% of the country already uses electric stoves rather than the 38% of the country that uses gas stoves. And most of the people that use gas stoves are in Northeast California and an Eastern urban Midwest thing. This is also where major cities use gas for lighting in the early 20th century, and the infrastructure started at that point. Almost the opposite map of the red-blue political divide. So it turns out they're trying to make a culture war thing happen out of this, but it's mostly lip-tards that use the gas stoves. The brave American conservative patriots are, as a matter of fact, using the electric stoves. Do the gas stove challenge? What the fuck is that? Mad about liberals coming to steal your gas stove? Tell them to shove it by completing the gas stove challenge. Turn all your burners up without lighting them and bask in it. Share yours. This is like probably you'll probably get banned for this. I'm going to assume This is like a definite TOS violation. Yeah, just leave it on though if you want. Have fun with it. Like I already said, most of the reason why conservatives, I believe, are turning this into a culture war issue is because, well, one, they have to turn something into a culture war issue. Commodity consumption is the only way to do culture war nowadays. You know, gay M&Ms, female M&Ms, whatever the fuck. And now gas stoves, regardless of who actually is using them or not. We are going to look at the Climate Town video on the matter. Apparently they did one because they're fucking nerds. But before we do that, here is a breakdown of the income. Gas stoves by income. Yes, I have a micro data set now. It only is going to get worse for the gas cucks from here. Also, not legit at all, or over 10% of the poorest 10% can't cook. Makes you wonder about the food stamp prohibition on buying prepared food. Okay. Holy shit. None. So it's mostly just, so it's rich people that are using gas stoves. That's it. But like, not rich in the, I mean, I wonder if, so I guess maybe Republicans are on board with it then, because Republicans do lean rich. I mean, they are the party of the wealthy, but it's mostly just like upper, yeah, I think it's mostly upper middle class. Well, I don't know if it's upper middle class suburbanite Republicans, but I think it's a lot of rich liberals too, most likely. It seems like if you look at the areas, it seems like it's mostly upper middle class to rich liberals. Do you find this funny? Not sure who made this, but fucking bravo to whoever it was. Yeah, I mean, there's a program to help people pay their new induction stoves to help improve indoor air quality and lower the climate impact of household consumption. It's actually just insane to be against it. It's the saddest symbol to have a gas stove. It's a class thing. Wait, really? Bro, I literally had no idea. I did not know it was like that at all. I mean, every fucking shitty ass, I don't think it's a class thing, especially when you think about California, because every shitty ass apartment I've lived in had a gas stove. Whereas the only time I ever experienced an electric stove was in my grandparents' house in New Jersey, and that's like a nice fucking house, or was a nice house in New Jersey. So I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So for me, I always assumed that it was just a thing. Gas stoves are very useful in Florida for when the power goes out after hurricanes. Yeah, older houses always have gas stoves, I feel like. My rental is shit, but so is the electric stove. Anyway, so yeah, let's watch it. Let's take a look. I mean, it's fine that the conservatives already turned it into a culture war thing, but let's take a look.
Oh boy, do I love my gas stove. Oh boy, do I love slopping together a big wet lunch on my gas stove. Hashtag cooking with gas. And posted. Sorry, I just had to do a quick Instagram post about just the vague
Dude, the countertops scream fake marble, but like the appliances are like relatively new, but like it's so obvious this is like a mid-level. This is like a middle income first rental unit that you get when you actually make more than like 80 grand a year in California. Okay, this right here. Fake ass appliances are old, fake ass marble countertops. You can tell though, the cabinets actually give the game away. Okay? He didn't ask you to critique his apartment. Well, I'm doing it anyway. It's such a the cabinets give the game away. Okay, like classic. This is like this was last like the last time this apartment got like a makeover was in late 2000s, I would say.
concept of the gas stove. A very real thing the natural gas lobby is quietly paying influencers to do. Not to
That's so weird. Hashtag cooking with gas recipes. That's so wild that they're doing this.
advertise a specific brand of gas stove or gas utility, just to remind us that we love gas. And if anyone should, I don't know, try to get us to stop using gas for any reason, then it's a war on dear sweet gas. And we can't let that happen to gas. Gas has always been there for us. Gas was there when our girlfriends broke up with us, okay? Gas has only been nice to us. I love gas. I love you, gas. Do you love me? And if it feels like the natural gas industry paying kids to post pro-gas messages has big let's get out in front of this energy, you nailed it. Because natural gas, like coal and oil, is a fossil fuel. And as countless studies and climate scientists and all the fossil fuel companies themselves have noted, burning fossil fuels releases greenhouse gases, which heat up the planet and cause things like increased fires and floods and droughts and a whole bunch of climate changey etceteras that devastate families and ruin lives. Now, gas utilities don't like climate change, but they really don't like losing even the tiniest bit of money. So they've decided to make one final desperate stand at the gas stove, despite the fact that they know it's worse for their customers, our cities, and just the whole planet. Hi, I'm Raleigh Williams, unconventionally unattractive, and a climate science and policy master.
How dare you? How dare you? You're so hot. Fuck you, man.
Pew, pew, pew.
Don't say that.
And I'm here to tell you that it might be time for us to break up with our gas stoves, despite what you may have seen on Instagram. Welcome to Climate Now. One thing to know about the natural gas industry is that it's got a long and proud tradition of absolutely batshit insane advertisements.
At Washington Natural Gas! Oh.
When I discovered electricity, I never meant for people to heat their homes with it.
Gas advertisements.
Dude, that's fire. God, I love marketing so much. It's so stupid. It is so fucking dumb. But then you have like this as a byproduct of that. You know what I mean? This paired up with like both parties' inabilities to like make material changes in people's lives, create this environment where you now have a culture war over the issue of gas stoves versus electric ones. But like they built this, they did it for years and years, and they again, you know, your consumption and your lifestyle choices are the only cultural signifiers that you have. So there's nothing else for you. So now you're a gas stove guy, okay? I'm a gas stove guy all the way, baby, through and through, okay? It's awesome.
Advertisements finally answer the question, what if we just never said no to any idea? They are all over the place, but a few center around some common themes such as natural gas will make you attractive to your wife again.
Barry?
Yeah, buddy.
Electricity both doesn't work and
Oh my God, what, dude, I want to see these fucking ads.
Barry?
What the fuck?
Yeah, buddy.
will make you all over to your wife.
That's insane. Says you, look at your kitchen, bucko.
The stem, so remove that.
Yeah, I've always had gas stoves. Yes, I've always had like, wait, what do you mean? I was making fun of that guy because like I lived in the same exact style apartment.
But it's time to flip it. It's time to flip this over, boys.
That's why I made fun of him. Cause wait, what? Yeah, no, it's the same apartment. I know. I lived in it. That's why I was making fun of it. Y'all are so weird.
Make sure that both sides of the chicken are crispy. Well, not crispy, but at least both sides of the chicken are well cooked. So the inside is still juicy. Now, a little bit too much. Girls.
Anyway, I mean, Lil Bear wasn't trying to get a gotcha out of me. It was just trying to show that I have
again.
that same
Barry?
Yeah, buddy.
Electricity both doesn't work and does work, but is way too expensive. Natural gas is clean, and some variation on the electric utility company hates you and wants you to shower with this racist depiction of an Asian man.
Call public service company.
But please,
What?
brace yourself for my personal favorite, rapping with gas.
Cooking with gas.
Cooking with
Gas. We all cook better when we're cooking with gas. Gas is so hot it's not
Yeah.
fun when it's not. It's the
Let's
only
go.
way to cook. That's what we were taught.
That song is over 4 minutes long. And despite the fact that they repeat the hook
Cooking with gas.
Cooking with gas. Cooking with gas.
Cooking
Yeah.
with gas.
36 times, They titled the song Rappin' with Gas, but that's just because, you know, that song was written from the top of a pile of cocaine, and after the 5 minutes it took to write that song, they had already forgotten what they... And that hook isn't new.
Now you're cooking with gas.
Cooking with gas has been an industry standby since the 1930s when gas PR guy Deke Holgate pitched it to...
Oh my God. It's a term I use. Oh my God. This is so awesome. I say, oh, now we're cooking with gas all the time. It is a term I use regularly. If you're familiar with my mannerisms or the things that I use all the time, you know that it's something I say regularly. And I, not even for a brief moment, had considered that it was originally a PR move from the fucking 30s, dude. God damn. The way that shit enters our cultural zeitgeist becomes firmly a part of like colloquialisms, enters the lexicon, whatever you want to fucking call it, is incredible. It is incredible. And as always, as is the case with everything else in our culture, this is yet another perfect representation of how material realities and capital accumulation interests create an environment that slowly massages attitudes, ideas, manifestations into our culture. That's it. There's no better representation of this, okay, than a century after this thing comes in to comes into the fold. You literally are not even thinking about it and saying it as though like all of the premises that like cooking with gasoline over anything else, cooking with gas stoves over anything else is unironically better. Wow. Wow. That shit's crazy, man. Yeah, they're ironically gaslighting us. Yes.
Bob Hope's writers, and it became a radio catchphrase. And my God, what an old sounding sentence that is. That is the kind of sentence that like knows everybody at the grocery store and wants to introduce you to the lady who works in the bread department when you come home to visit. Who's single, by the way. Yeah, well, she's also like 45, by the way, Dad. I mean, old sounding sentence. Yeah, unsalted, cold, barely cooked eggs from 4 hours ago. Now that is Hollywood.
The only thing this dude's apartment is different than mine is that he has like real curtains, like some semblance of like a real shade, like a shader, whatever this is called. And normally an apartment of this price point would usually have the famous vertical blinds, which have always been a bane of my existence. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. He installed these himself, most likely. But I fucking hate vertical blinds. Anyone that's ever lived in an LA apartment or like a, cheaper, shittier, older apartment knows vertical blinds are just, I think they're created to basically torture renters because they break so easy. And then you like get duct tape and you try to duct tape it back, but it never sits right. And then they fall all the time. And they're so unnecessarily loud when they fall. You're like, what the fuck? That's how you know you've made it. When you move to an apartment that does not have vertical blinds, but as a matter of fact has horizontal blinds. Anyways.
Okay, Hollywood isn't all about glamorous 20 to 30 egg breakfasts. There's a lot going on in the edit bay behind the scenes. Speaking of behind the scenes, isn't it weird that natural gas advertisements are almost all focused on the gas stove, despite the fact that the gas stove represents just 3% of residential natural gas sales? According to the Energy Information Administration, 26% of natural gas sales come from water heating, and an astounding 69% of natural gas sales come from space heating. So why is such a huge fraction of the natural gas...
The only thing that the gas stove has over a electrical one is that it's the electrical stoves are anti-Mexican propaganda because there's no more effective way of heating a tortilla up than tossing it directly onto the fire, okay? Straight up, I'll say it. That's what I do, baby, every time, okay? You just got to fucking turn that shit on, slap the tortilla directly on the fire. That's how you got to do it. And you can't do that with an electric one. You can't. It's anti-Mexican propaganda. It's anti-Turkish propaganda. Try using a wok. There's too much preparation. You got to put it directly on the fire immediately. You know what I mean? There's no better way to do it.
Marketing budget aimed at such a small fraction of the gas sales? Well, it's probably because all the natural gas you use in your home comes in through the same pipe. And if you or the apartment complex you live in decides to invest in the gas infrastructure for gas stoves, it's a much easier jump to the real gas heating moneymakers. It's like how Costco sells whole rotisserie chickens for $5. They're not making their money on the $5 chicken. They're using the $5 chicken to get you in the door, and then they make their real money when you impulse buy a drone on your way out. And I kind of lost the thread, but I think in this metaphor, a gas furnace is the drone, or a water boiler is the drone, or both. Whatever, I'm sure this part will be cut in the phone. And for about 70-ish years, the natural gas industry tried to hammer home this concept that gas was cleaner and cheaper and faster, and electric stoves and heaters were slower and inefficient and the property of communist China. And for a while, they were not entirely wrong. I can't speak to the communist China stuff, but calling natural gas the clean-burning alternative to electric used to be pretty accurate because electricity used to be mainly powered by coal-fired power plants, which are directly linked to asthma, cancer, and heart and lung disease. You know, real day ruiners. And that's where the fact that we live in the 2020s actually makes a difference. I'll pick that up later. You see, gas isn't actually cleaner or cheaper or better anymore. There's a lot of ways to define cleaner, and gas loses to electric in like every category. Take your personal health, for example. A gas stove might look pretty clean, but this is a literal open flame in your kitchen. Gas stoves can lead to carbon monoxide levels 3 to 6 times higher than electric ranges. Gas stoves also produce double the harmful particulate matter, and the elevated nitrogen dioxide levels associated with gas stoves can affect the mental and respiratory development of children. In 1986, when the EPA's Clean Air Scientific Advisory Committee
You're making your children not to be pussy asses, okay? That's what it is. You got to make sure that their lungs are stronger by consuming all that NO2, baby. That's right. Got to expose them when they're young, make them strong. All these liptard children are not going to be getting that same exposure, brother.
He found some troubling evidence that elevated nitrogen dioxide levels were having some pretty negative impacts on children. The gas industry had this to say.
Well, it's 3 times less in the east or west, so remember those figures when it's time to take a test.
And since the Clean Air Act of 1970 doesn't have jurisdiction over private residences, the gas industry wasn't legally obligated to disclose the dangers of these chemicals to the people who were, breathing them in every day. And yeah, a lot of the early model electric stovetops sucked. It was basically like the dial-up internet of cooking.
And ladies, here's a tip for you. When you go shopping for your ranges, take your husbands along. They know real values.
But luckily, just like the internet, electric cooking has gotten super goddamn good. New electric stove technology is called induction. We're supposed to be in an IKEA. There we go. Okay, new electric cooking technology is called induction. It's a big upgrade from gas, and it uses, get this, magnets.
Water, fire, air, and dirt. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Wow. Look, I know that song came out after 9/11, but it feels very pre-9/11. Does that make sense? Whatever. Induction magnets work by creating an alternating magnetic current that heats the metal directly.
Not wrong, actually.
In the induction.
Wait, how does this work? I don't understand.
Pre-9/11. Does that make sense? Whatever. Induction magnets work by creating an alternating magnetic current that heats the metal directly in the pan instead of the cooktop, which allows it to cook things twice as fast with literally twice the precision. Also, and this is a bonus, it doesn't cook the
It's too much science, brother. I don't want no magnets in my goddamn food. That's how they get you to turn gay.
Absolute shit out of everything around it on the grill. Hey, we got kicked out. Apparently you're not supposed to lean on other stuff or film without their permission. I totally understand it. And for the record, I do not have an induction burner myself. I rent an apartment from a man I've never met who responds to less than 25% of my emails. I do not have an induction burner, okay? I'm not trying to sit here and tell you you're a bad person if you cook on gas. You're not a bad person. Actually, I don't know you. Maybe you are a bad person. That is between you and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that is the loudest truck I've ever heard. The point is, induction is not some kind of fad like Chia Pets or television, okay? It is here to stay. Even professional chefs like Michelle Roux Jr. are switching to induction.
All the sauces getting ready for lunch. And what's great about the induction is there's no heat. It's lovely. It's a great environment to be working in.
Even commercial pizza ovens that have to get way hotter than your oven at home are moving to all electric. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't afford to shoot in one of those pizza places. Psych! Location change, baby! We got a Patreon page now where people pay like $5 a month, and the link is in the bio, and now we can go inside of places without getting kicked out after 20 minutes. One of those insides is La Rossi Pizza in Brooklyn, New York, where they have, among other things, an all-electric pizza oven that gets super hot. How hot does this oven get? 950 degrees, that's so goddamn hot. Well, we're gonna cook myself a little pizza. And here's a slice of pizza.
Okay, that looks fire.
And it's fantastic. I mean, if it wasn't fantastic, would I be able to cram this entire slice in my mouth at once? Probably, but I wouldn't. But look, I get it. Maybe you just prefer cooking with gas. All right, maybe you're willing to take the risk for the advantage of a flame. Fine, totally understandable, and it's actually a fairly popular opinion. And we know this because the gas industry knows this. Because when they realized they couldn't compete with electricity in terms of health or quality, they had to find a way to appeal to people's emotional attachment to their product. So the American Public Gas Association, an industry group representing over 700 gas utilities, hired the hotshot PR company Porter & Novelli to figure out how to manipulate people's emotions enough to keep them using gas. Well, Porter & Novelli did the research, and they found out that people don't give a shit about whether their water boiler is gas or electric.
Thank you. So I guess I'm not fucking wrong, dumbasses. Like, there's literally empirical evidence to also back up the lack of interest I have in knowing what is fucking heating my goddamn water. You dumb motherfuckers in the chat. Like, dude, you're so out of touch. You're so fucking out of touch. Rich guy problems. This guy doesn't fucking know. It's like, no, most people just don't know, man. No one cares. No one cares. And no one should care. That is like literally like 70% of the reason why I want the government to deal with this shit instead, okay? I don't want to fucking deal with it.
And people don't give a shit about whether their heater is gas or electric. But people do give a shit about their gas stove. And that's the ticket, baby. If we can get enough people to keep buying gas, we can prolong the gas transition into electric until, you know what, we don't need an end game when we got cocaine.
Howdy, partners. This is no ordinary house. This is a home on the main, the Nashville gas main.
Who was that gas man?
Why, he's cocaine.
And as much fun as those Peruvian schneef powder-fueled ads used to be, people see right through that kind of thing now. So the gas industry had to find some new way to re-incept the idea of "we love gas" into the minds of people as soon as possible. And dang it if they didn't use up all their best lines in that Rappin' with Gas song.
Cooking with gas.
It's cleaner. Clean. The flame consumes the smoke and grease. You know what I mean?
The flame consumes the smoke and grease? You know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about a grease fire? Are you bragging about having a grease fire? Whatever. Porter Novelli had a different plan. Influencers. But you don't have to take my word for it. Here's a very real page from the Porter Novelli proposal they wrote for the American Public Gas Association, showing their target audiences of Hispanic millennials, design enthusiasts, promising families, and young city solos. Each one is paired to a season, and each combination makes exactly zero f***ing sense. But hey, it wouldn't be much of a gas ad if it made any sense, now would it? And as fast as you could say Hispanic millennials represent the winter, the American Public Gas Association spent $300,000 on a PR campaign that got small market influencers to make posts like this. And would you look at that, it's all stoves. That thing that makes them just 3% of their money. So weird. And notice something else here. They're no longer making the claim that
it's cleaner.
Because it isn't. And they no longer claim
it's cheaper.
Because it's not. Now the big selling point is that natural gas is...
Bro, like, I love cooking with gas because it helps cook food faster. Like, who the fuck watch? Oh my God. It's like, part of me is thinking this kind of marketing is so stupid, okay? part of me is thinking this kind of marketing is so idiotic. Who the fuck looks at that and goes, oh yeah, that does make sense. But then the other part of me is thinking, wait a minute, it does kind of make sense because like most people probably think that way. I think that way. I didn't even know where I learned that because you're stupid. You're a human, right? Like, although it's objectively wrong, you think, fire, grug, means faster than electric. Don't see. You know what I mean? Don't see fire, me no like. That's literally what it is. They're tapping in to your fucking primal urges. Fire good. Fire keep me hot. Fire hot. Fire keep me strong. That's it. That's literally where that comes from. And they are able to just like uplift that narrative. They're able to like tap into that and just hammer on that point to our silly little fucking lizard brains, dude.
Faster, which is true if you're only counting traditional electric coils and not the much faster induction cooktops. But the real question is, why are they spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a campaign that doesn't even mention an actual brand or a way for people to buy their product? And sure, paying influencers to post about how precisely they can cook a taco doesn't seem that bad. But what they're actually doing is paying influencers to trick their audience into helping the gas company avoid—
Okay, that was cool as fuck. That was actually a very cool move.
Climate legislation. Oh yeah, it's all about climate change with me. That's my whole thing. That's my entire deal. I am insufferable to be around nowadays. Okay, we get it. You're self-deprecating. This guy. Oh, and another edit bay bit? You can't just dump to an edit bay every time you forget to write a joke. This guy. And since I'm not a hack like some people I know, let's go ahead and bring this burden of proof train into the station with a nice gas industry internal document, smoking gun style. This is the 2018 Speak Up for Natural Gas Advocacy Training Workshop document, link in the bio, sponsored by 3 of the biggest gas trade organizations in America. And in this document, they detail their plans to ask their employees to spread pro-gas messages and stories on social media, which, in my opinion, is a pretty whack-ass thing for a boss to ask their employees to do. They discuss how local citizens and advocates might not want natural gas extracted from their hometowns or pipelines built right through their backyards, and how gas employees promoting gas can sometimes be enough to change the narrative. They go over best practices for storytelling, how to control the narrative, and their big smoking conclusion in a document about which pro-gas arguments they should use is right here. Emotional arguments can shape the public narrative even when the facts don't support them. Emotional arguments can shape the public narrative even when the facts don't support them. Whew! Now they claim they're learning this tactic from the pro-environmental movement, but they go on to detail a whole bunch of other ways they can do it, and they conclude the document with this. It all boils down to how the natural gas industry chooses to tell its story. So Porter Novelli takes care of the influencers, and then the gas industry asks its own employees to jump on social media and spread a bunch of pro-gas disinformation. Wait, I'm sorry, that should be correcting misinformation. And speaking of correcting misinformation, hey, here's a fun, cool climate change fact you can tell your friends. Natural gas is as big of a driver of climate change as coal. And I know that might sound weird because common knowledge says coal is much dirtier burning than natural gas, and in a lot of ways it is. Burning coal releases all sorts of compounds that have certain health and environmental implications, but in terms of just climate change causing greenhouse gases, the math is not good for natural gas. The US Energy Information Administration says gas emits almost 50% less CO2 than coal, or half of one pizza. But natural gas is primarily composed of methane, which is itself a greenhouse gas with 80 times the potency of carbon dioxide over a 20-year period, and that's where fugitive emissions come into play. You can think of fugitive emissions like when a chemical escapes the supply chain before being turned into heat or energy. When a lump of coal falls off a truck on the way to a power plant, it just becomes a rock. Or like some lonely kid's best friend in a depressing kid's book. Do they still make those?
Shouts out to the Trump administration for unshackling this fugitive, the fugitive energy crisis in the form of, I believe, methane specifically, with respect to fracking. That was.
If they do, I feel like my friend Cole would do Harry Potter numbers. But the thing is, when natural gas leaks out of one of the 2 million miles of pipes and gas lines that transport natural gas around America and gets into the air, it becomes an ultra-potent greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So if we're doing the math, it turns out we can afford to lose about 4% of natural gas through leaks before we're actually heating the planet more than the coal it was supposed to be displacing. And guess what percent we actually lose? It's like 9%. Here it is in pizza slices. Now, I'm not suggesting we should go back to coal. I'm suggesting we should haul ass towards electrification via renewables and battery technology. Even if we electrified every building overnight, it wouldn't cut natural gas out of the equation. Natural gas is still used as like one of the main fuel sources to generate electricity. But the reductions in emissions and fugitive emissions we would see from not having to pipe fossil fuels into 70 million.
See, this, like, you have to be joking, I think, right? Like, you don't watch this video and go, I say you're a bad person if you use gas stoves, because this is another aspect of the conversation that gets lost in people's minds, okay? If you, all of a sudden, turn random people who are completely oblivious to this kind of reality into enemies for no fucking reason, you're basically doing propaganda for the right wing. You're doing propaganda by setting unnecessary lines, unnecessary borders, making it seem as though it's like there is a competition. You were joking, but there were motherfuckers who said, nah, you're actually right. Like, immediately, no matter what fucking happens. So the point always is to basically showcase that, like, the point always is to recognize that people are completely oblivious to these choices because they haven't made these choices, and to explain it to them. Okay? And to advocate for systemic change rather than turn around and say, you gotta manipulate your own personal consumption choices, because your own personal consumption choices are irrelevant in the matter, in the grand scheme of things, which is precisely why things like the IRA, the IRA rebates for electric stoves is legitimately a good thing. Like that's just objectively a good thing. That is the government doing the right thing, okay? It's very stupid to just be against that, but Republicans are very stupid. And what is additionally hilarious about this subject is that turns out their base is not even using fucking gas stoves. They're using electric. Most people are just using electric. They don't even care. They didn't even think about this before. But now it's a motherfucking issue. Now it's turning into a culture war issue for no fucking reason. How crazy.
Buildings in America would represent an enormous reduction in our overall emissions. Today, buildings are generating about 30% of all of America's emissions via direct combustion of fossil fuels and fossil fuels in the electricity. And we have all the technology we need to greatly reduce those emissions already. But that would mean the gas industry couldn't sell gas outside of power plants, and that's gonna be a big no from the gas industry, dog. So in the past few years, cities have begun to realize that climate change is a big problem, and that fossil fuel-powered buildings aren't going to cut it anymore. So they began passing laws to remove gas from new buildings. While a lot of comprehensive climate policy needs to come from a national level, like putting a price on carbon pollution or adopting a federal clean energy standard, city governments get to write their own building codes, which led to 50 cities in California implementing this no new gas buildings policy pretty quickly. But then the craziest thing happened. Gas lobby groups went around to states with Republican-controlled legislatures and worked with them to quietly pass legislation that made gas utilities exempt from city regulation. They're called preemption laws, and they call them that because of the way they preemptively let gas lobby groups do whatever the they want. And they passed them so quietly that when Tucson, Arizona tried to pass a no new gas buildings law, they discovered they legally couldn't because state Republicans had just adopted a statewide gas exemption. Which, you know, feels pretty ironic for a political party whose whole thing is that they're against government overreach. Wouldn't you say? Texas then passed their own preemption law, then Oklahoma, and now a total of 20 state legislatures passed preemption laws to protect the precious gas industry from cities who want to set their own
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Fuck that shit. Gas all the way, baby. Gas, gas,
codes.
gas.
And so here we are, when the gas industry had to choose between destroying the environment for you and your children or taking a financial hit, they picked the money. And they enlisted the help of a few gullible influencers, morally bankrupt politicians, and even made their own employees post on Facebook about it. And so far, it's working for them. So if you're sitting there, or standing there, or even leaning there, and you want to know how you can get involved, there's a couple things you can do. First, and most importantly, you can support these building electrification advocacy groups using the links in the
Gay. Boo. Boo. We hate it. I'm pausing specifically so you know exactly who not to support, okay? We love this. Hobo Johnson coverage win? Who the fuck is Hobo Johnson? What the fuck is Hobo Johnson? Why do you know what that even is, bro? Isn't that the fucking Tiny Desk kid who was like, I'm so sad. I know, oh, this girl doesn't want to fuck me. Like, that was the fucking 2018. We left that shit back in 2018. No. Do not do Hobo Johnson discourse. Anyway.
bio. You can also call your local representatives and let them know you are very pro-building electrification. Or if you live in one of these 20 states, you can call them up and let them know that you think preemption laws are some serious bullshit. If you happen to be in a place in your life where you can opt out of gas stoves, consider getting an induction burner, but the real name of the game here is collective action. Get out there, join those groups, and make some friends. Or at the very least, just make it a point to get more educated about the climate crisis. Because when enough informed climate advocates get together, oh boy, then we will really be cooking with electric.
See? It's hard to avoid that. Oh, dude, I know. This is images a good litmus test for politics. Do you regard him with respect or disgust? I remember watching this video on stream.
Oh no! It's great to be here at your boyfriend's piano recital. My love for you is so hidden that you think I'm not here to have sex with you. But my love makes me pine for having sex with you silently, and my passive aggression inspires me. And you walk the door, and you say, I have a boyfriend, and I smile, and I cry, and I cry, and I smile, and I say, it's fine. But I love the thought of having sex with you, but I can't stop smiling and being fake as fuck! Man, I love drinking into your Depop.
I like Hobo Johnson because, like, at least he channeled all of his energy into not purchasing a gun, an AR-15 at the nearest Walmart, and immediately beelining it to the nearest elementary school, and instead made this kind of music, okay? So that's the only net benefit of Hobo Johnson. If more people who get very upset over the fact that women don't want to fuck them because they look like the last time they had a shower was, you know, in 1937, if they made mid-music instead of, you know, shooting up entire schools, the world would be a better place overall. So that's a net benefit.
Castrated myself to enter the DIY.
Hasan, you're being an ass. He makes socialist music now. I don't care. I don't care. I hope he's bettered himself.
Why scene?
Hey. He makes the first ethical incel. Yes.
What's up? How are you? Who's your boyfriend? Where you at? Where's your house at? Are you all of you?
You can't do that on Tiny Desk and ever be redeemed.
They have arrived, ladies and gentlemen, they have arrived. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill, I repeat.
Solve them! Like I used to think. It was like Jordan's house. 7 days a week. Is it wrong to see the world with my imperialist privilege and twinkle in my eye?
I will not be saying anything about Hobo Johnson, okay? And I will, because the main reason why I don't want to say anything is because, like, I know there are a lot of people in this community that are in their baby leftist phase, okay? And when you're a baby leftist, when you're just learning about socialism, when you're just finding out about this, like, every you seek out, you know, leftist forms of content. Like, oh man, like, what if there was a leftist rapper? Would people be able to, like, become more leftist by listening to a leftist rapper? All this sort of shit. Okay? I mean, I get it. I'm a gateway to this kind of politics. But what I am never going to be a gateway is cringe. Okay? I refuse. Consume it on your own time. You understand? Consume it quietly on your own time. You will not be getting the Augs back if you are putting this shit on. Okay? You are scaring the hoes, literally. Not being a gateway to cringe is cringe. Military e-girls are ruining my life. Oh, yeah. This is... I am familiar with this person. I have been fascinated with this person for a while. They are, like... They have embraced that they're fucking a psyop, too. It's very weird. Hail Juan. Hailu Juan, or whatever the fuck. I've been following her TikTok and her Instagram for a while. I've talked to Felix about this as well. He, I think, briefly even brought it up in one of the older Chapo versions. In one of the older Chapo episodes, like a while ago. No, this is not. IDF does this shit, and now the American military is doing it. We'll talk about it in a little bit. I mean, I hate it. I hate it because, like, some of you dumb motherfuckers are going to, like, enlist or something.
Take it away, Elton John.
Like electricity.
Okay, we're done with this video. All right. How the gas versus electric stove debate became the latest culture war with AOC and Ted Cruz chiming in. Gas stoves for me, but not for thee. Come and take it, Representative Ronnie Jackson wrote, saying he'd never give up his gas stove. At the first full week of the 111th Congress, there is now just heated debate on the matter. Richard Trumka Jr., commissioner for the Consumer Product Safety Commission, told Bloomberg on Monday that a gas stove ban was being considered. Okay? Amid health fears. That the gas stove top was getting the same sort of protective treatment that is usually reserved for things like firearms or meat consumption. This is a recipe for disaster. The federal government has no business telling American families how to cook their dinner, said Joe Manchin, who's a fucking idiot. The CPSC followed up with Alex Hohn-Sarek, the chair of the commission, saying that an all-out ban was not actually on the table, but that the agency was looking for ways to reduce health risks associated with gas burners. Proponents of the gas stove argue its superior cooking appliance compared to electric counterparts, offering more temperature control and different cooking options. Critics of the gas stove say that actually some electric burners allow for more precise cooking temperatures and can be easier to clean, which is true. As we saw with induction burners, they are actually infinitely superior, which I did not even know that it existed. And I don't care. I don't care. Stop trying to send me good leftist rap. You are not going to change the cultural attitude here, okay? Stop. The only time when you send me this sort of thing, you are literally just doing further cringe.
Politician.
Here's Tucker Carlson ripping into the Biden administration for wanting to ban gas stoves. A lot of politicians mistake themselves for God. Safety. We've had these stoves for under 100 years. It's totally fine to give fentanyl to addicts, but a gas stove is a threat to your life? When I see this sort of thing, at first I laugh. Okay? At first I laugh, but then I get angry. Like unimaginably angry. At how quick these motherfuckers can turn anything and everything into a culture war issue that all of these dumb motherfuckers are going to unironically channel, repeat, and fight to the death over. Guns, gas stoves. Love that. That's it. This is the new thing. I hate this country. And I specifically, and more importantly, hate the Democratic Party. Why do I hate the Democratic Party? This is the Republicans doing this, as a matter of fact. Because they don't do enough. So then the culture and the conversation is dominated by these reactionary pieces of shit. Okay? And they immediately buckle under pressure and go, wait a minute. No, actually, as a matter of fact, we are so sorry. We're not trying to take away your gas stoves. I'm so sorry. Please burn more gas. I love gas. Look at me. I'm turning on the gas stove myself. And it's like, you already conceded. You have a good point. You have a good perspective. Didn't even know it was a thing until like earlier. Now I know, okay? And understand why it exists to begin with. It's not even an all-out ban. Just fucking talk about why it's bad. Well, this gas stoves is literally one week news cycle. Yeah, but who knows? It might turn around and become like meat, you know? The Green New Deal wants to stop you from, AOC wants to take your burgle away. That's the big fucking talking point against the Green New Deal, right? That's what they're doing. Now it's like, oh, they're trying to take, big government trying to take your gas stoves away. You want that gas stove. You need it. Like 68% of America does not have a gas stove. They have an electric one already. Who gives a shit?
You may have noticed mistake themselves for God and decide they can control the intimate details of your life.
Like, this is literally what the government's for, you fucking idiot. God damn it. This is what the government's for. Oh, man. What are they, God? They want to put a seatbelt in a car? What are you, God? It's like, no, man, because you're too stupid, okay? You're too dumb. You're too stupid. You're too dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. Americans across the board are dumb. Human beings across the board are dumb, okay? Holy fuck.
Including what kind of stove you use to cook your dinner. And politicians have been telling us for a long time, because of climate, you're not allowed to have a gas stove. But that doesn't make sense to people because...
And now we know better. It's not even the fucking gas stoves that are actually unironically the problem. It's all the other gas appliances that are utilized inside of the home when, you know, your introduction is with the gas stove. The gas stove is the part of the conversation that you care about because you're like, oh, well, there's a lot of propaganda around it. Earlier, older electric stoves were not that good, okay? It's the truth. They were not that good. So now you just do not have, you have an association with like gas being better, you know, as far as like cooking goes. It's faster, it's better, right? And now that's the reason why people are fucking going to turn around, and even if they have an electric stove in their house, going to turn around and advocate for gas stoves.
If they really cared about carbon emissions, they probably wouldn't be flying in private planes or blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, which they did. So now there's a new tax.
True.
To get rid of gas stoves. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is deciding on whether to ban gas stoves totally because of safety.
That part was true. Fuck, he's such a good propagandist.
Safety? We've had these stoves for over 100 years. It's totally fine to give fentanyl to addicts, but a gas stove is a threat to your life?
No, like literally, it is good to give fentanyl to addicts, you fucking dingus. And it's not even fentanyl, okay? Yes, it is good to create a safe environment for addicts. Yes, it is like fundamentally an important step in recovery. And it's methadone that he's talking about, which is such a piece of shit. But like even allowing people a safe place to be able to fucking needle themselves with clean needles, okay, is literally an important step towards recovery. This is the truth, okay? I don't care if it doesn't sound normal to you. It's just the fucking truth. It is crazy to me that he can just flip it and say, oh, wow, we want to ban gas stoves now? What do you want to be God, but you want to give fentanyl to addicts? Like, harm reduction is a fundamental way, like a very important first step towards recovery, okay? And I hate that like so many people are so stupid that they don't recognize it. God damn it, dude. Fuck. Anyway, but here we are on the gas stove saga.